Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of There Will Be Expertise. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron.
Ron, what the fuck are we doing? Dark Souls is a thing.
Finally.
I could be playing... I could be playing Dark Souls.
He's having a seizure.
I gotta go.
Drops mic.
Yeah, dude, fuck this.
Dude, I'm still coming down from Hardcore Henry.
My retinas.
The most accurate description of that movie I've ever heard was you in the parking lot when you said you have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Or it's a simulation of being the Nazis that saw the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was what me and
My
Reese
face
decided.
melted during that
They needed to name the sequel Epileptic Eric. Alright. Seriously though, while it's still in the theater, go check out Hardcore Henry. You're going to need medication afterwards and forever. But I think if you watch that at home on DVD,
you lose
90% of the experience.
And I also want to say, just real quick before we get started, that stick with it. Because they take it slow about the first 20 minutes for you to get acclimated to it.
And for good reason.
Reason. But later, like, near the end, by the end of the movie, I never noticed the camera being shaky or anything, even though I know it was.
It's the first 20, 25 minutes of it were actually giving me a headache just because you're so unused to it. Because there's a disconnect you have to get used to. It's because, like, some people will say, like, well, if you play a lot of first-person video games, it shouldn't bother you. Well, there's a difference where you're not controlling it.
Yeah.
It's because there's, like... It takes longer to become immersed when you're not controlling movement of where the camera's going, I think that's the disconnect. Yeah. But once you get acclimated to it, I forgot it was even... bothering me about a third way. So yeah.
But after the movie, for about 30 minutes, I was completely disoriented. Like my head was kind of swimming, and then the next day, I just didn't feel good. But it was.
Can we put that on the Blu-ray?
That's the blurb.
The next day, I did not feel good. That would sell you some Blu-rays, I think.
Charlton Copley, man,
dude, seriously. It wouldn't happen, but if I was in charge of the Oscars, he would get a nomination just for playing like 12 different roles. He was awesome. But yeah, we're going to start off the movie news this week with something we've been reporting on for a while, and now we have official confirmation. Ron, drum roll, please. I don't know if we have that drop. Yeah, we do. Killing Joke will be officially rated R. Your thoughts, Ron?
Yes. See... My dad always said rated R stood for really good. So
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. And that means we can finally get crazy ass Hamill Joker doing Joker things.
Oh, it's going to be glorious, dude. I wanted to include one quick quote before we move on, just because we talked so much about it. It's obvious that we're totally on board. This is from Sam Register, who is the president of Warner Brothers Animation. This was his quote. From the start of production, we encourage producer Bruce Timm and company to remain faithful to the original story, regardless of the original MPAA rating. The Killing Joke is revered by the fans, particularly for its blunt, often shocking adult themes and situations. We felt it was our responsibility to present our core audience, the comics-loving community, with an animated film that authentically represented the tale they all know too well. Fucking genius.
Yes.
And why is this guy not in charge of the live-action movies?
No kidding.
Everything he said
is what BVS should have been.
Exactly. How hard is it to not go out of your way to murder people with Batman?
Yeah.
Just don't have him kill people. It's not fucking rocket science. He's been a character for 75 years. And granted, he killed people for the first few years just because it was comics back then, and he wasn't the character he eventually became over time.
Right.
But he hasn't killed people for like 50 years.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. So yeah, I just wanted to include that. Thank you, Mr. Sam Register. I hope you get promoted to the actual movie division. That's just all I wanted to say, because that was a brilliant quote.
Because it needs him.
And I love that. I think Deadpool probably helped him out a little bit, even though it's Marvel and this is DC. Something... grossing well in any type of box office or DVD sales that Deadpool will, obviously, because it's good for repeat viewings.
Right.
The fact that something that was rated R made money in some facet, I think, is going to help other companies if they're like at the last 11th hour moment, like getting hesitant about it. Just fuck it, do it. So, can't wait. It screens at Comic-Con and then comes out on DVD later on in the summer. So probably around July or August, we'll get our hands on it. And I cannot wait because I fucking love that comic. Next up, we're going to continue the animation theme. The first story is about something I hadn't even realized was a thing. Did you know this was a thing until like yesterday? Apparently, they're making How the Grinch Stole Christmas into an animated film. Dude, this is news to me until like 24 hours ago.
Yeah, and we're talking like CGI animation, right?
Yeah, 3D. And Benedict Cumberbatch is the Grinch. And it might even be better casting than him as Doctor Strange.
Maybe.
Because of how, like, you just think about it, and if you just take him, like, he could just straight up be asshole Sherlock and just take that kind of persona, and he's the Grinch, you know?
Yeah.
He'll be perfect. He'll be absolutely, like, if this...
How awesome if the Grinch had the smoke voice and it just, like, rumbled your chair when you're in the theater.
I would be on board with this. Yeah, I mean, that's always been one of my favorite cartoons, was the original Grinch. That was my favorite of the Dr. Seuss stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't revisited it since it came out. Did you like the Jim Carrey movie?
I did.
You did? Mm-hmm. I remember liking it as a little kid, but when it came out, I was only like 8 or 9, so I don't really have...
I wasn't a little kid when it came out.
I don't really have a good... You're what, like a young teenager?
Yeah.
I don't really have a good memory of it, but you liked it? It was a good adaptation of it?
Oh, yeah. I thought so. Well, I mean, as much as I loved it, it's not like... You couldn't do anything to it as egregious as making Batman kill people for 2.5 hours.
It's adapting what I'm sure was like a 20-page kids book.
Yeah.
Even just adapting that into an 80-minute movie would be a struggle.
And I thought Jim Carrey did a pretty good job as the Grinch. So
where has Jim Carrey gone? Jim Carrey hasn't... He did Kick-Ass 2. He was good in Kick-Ass 2, and I haven't seen him do anything in the last 10 years.
No, he's just been creepy on YouTube and...
Oh, no. He did the awesome McConaughey.
Yes,
that was amazing. That was amazing. Stuff. I kind of want to watch that now just because I
Whose
bring it up.
kids are these?
But yeah, super stoked. They released an image. It actually looks a lot better in 3D animation than I thought it would, because typically I am anti-3D animation adaptations of shit that was originally 2D.
Yeah.
Because there's to me like a disconnect when you're not being faithful to the original source material, but actually they look pretty cool. I will watch it just because of Cumberbatch. I think it'll be a great Grinch. They released a photo on Nerdist of a side-by-side.
It's amazing.
Of one of his weird con faces. That was just like glorious, because he could fucking play him in live action with less makeup required than Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I'm on board with that though. Something else that was news to me, apparently Despicable Me 3 is a thing. Did you know this was a thing?
No idea this was a thing.
Bigger shocker than that is who was casted as the villain. Trey Parker, Mr. Garrison, Cartman, and Stan himself. Trey fucking Parker, dude. This is a crazy little tidbit. First time he has voiced a character that was not his own creation.
Really?
I don't know how or why, but I kind of want to watch this now just to see what he'd do. Because what's crazy...
It's amazing that they're not even in like any of the DC stuff or anything with all the voices they can do.
Yeah, what's crazy about it is like, you know, people think of them as like the South Park guys. But when you think of like how good his delivery is, especially as Randy, like he has fantastic delivery.
Yeah.
And even live action, I really love...
Sharon? Sharon?
All-time favorite Randy's episodes are Shining in the Blockbuster.
Yes.
And I think 2 days before the day after tomorrow. We have to keep moving. That right there, that was gold delivery right there. I watched that episode probably like 8 years ago. I can remember the delivery of the line. He's fantastic. It's gold, dude. It's gold. Yeah. I'm actually... I still haven't seen the first two. Just because of this, I have to go back and watch those because I want to watch Trey Parker.
I saw the first one, and I was done after that.
You didn't like it?
It was all right, but I didn't think it merited a sequel. It was more of a cash grab sequel.
Exactly. So. It made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Because kids eat up those little minion bastards.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, well, I'm actually more okay with them making sequels of that, because at least they can actually have like a plot and shit and have them talk. A Minion sequel was like the ultimate cash grab. They literally just act dumb and cute.
Yep.
And then they made $1 bajillion off of it. So
yep.
That's to me.
You're just pissed that we didn't think of it.
Yeah, we really should. Well, we didn't think of anything productive at all. So yeah. Speaking of not productive at all. Agents of Scoob, Ron.
It's a thing.
The buzzword in Hollywood is shared fucking universe. I'm just hyphenating that all as one word.
I
guess I should back it up and explain what the fuck we're talking about.
I
Okay,
guess.
Scoob, or Agents of Scoob. It's so bad, I couldn't even tell if that was a joke. Because I could honestly see them just having a little parody of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just to dick around with their enemies over at Marvel. But this is owned by Warner Brothers. They own all of the Hanna-Barbera rights. And what this is it's Scoob spelled out like S.H.I.E.L.D., as an anagram.
Yeah.
And they're combining all of the Hanna-Barbera properties, which are your standard, like the Jetsons, Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, etc. And they're making them all a shared universe for no reason. For literally no reason. So go back to what you're saying.
I don't understand how it's Hanna-Barbera's shared universe. Most of their characters are upright talking animals, like Quick Draw McGraw, Top Cat, Snagglepuss, Huckleberry Hound, Doggy Dad, and Noggy Dog. I mean, like, what the fuck are you going to do?
You know what my reaction was? They couldn't even, at Warner Brothers, make Batman and Superman work together, and they want to make the Jetsons work with the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo. Good job, guys. Good luck with that.
The only time that the Jetsons or any of them have worked anytime recently, it was on Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Exactly. that was a really good episode. This is mind-boggling to me. While we're on the topic of bullshit shared universes, did you hear 23 Jump Street and Men in Black
is still
a thing? First of all,
it should never have been.
It should never have been even a concept. If I'm a higher up at, I forget what fucking company owns them, but if you bring to me the idea of combining Men in Black and 22 Jump Street, you're fucking fired. This is a fucking garbage ass idea, and I like both of those things.
Yeah,
but why? How do you even combine the Hanna-Barbera things? Like, the only thing I could even think of was, like, you have the Jetsons develop, like, an alternate reality device. That's, like, the only thing. And that's probably too logical of an idea for them to think of. It'll be something stupid.
I mean, isn't it basically just gonna, after, like, 3 or 4 movies, just culminate in that race movie that they did, as all the heroes versus all of their villains in a race?
Wacky Race, something
like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what the name of it was.
Is that Yogi Bear and all of them?
But yeah, that'll probably be like their Avengers, and it'll be dog shit. But first of all, they won't get that far because, first of all, I think they've said this.
I'll tell you this right now, though, it's all worth it if I see Snagglepuss dismembered. Exit stage left, head goes flying because I fucking hate Snagglepuss. He's not the Pink Panther. Just knock it off. He's never
going to be the Pink Panther. Shut your fucking cornhole. They're launching this basically with Scooby-Doo is going to be their Iron Man equivalent of.
And if it's anything like that dog shit comic book cover, I'm done.
Oh my god, dude, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
I'm just fucking done.
Shaggy was like a hipster douchebag with a mustache.
Yeah,
it's just like
with like the Green Arrow mustache. Yeah,
how hard is it to fucking not fuck up Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo had emojis that floated in the air to communicate.
Dude.
Velma the rocket launcher was kind of hot, except for the fact she was midget.
I don't even understand. I
don't.
The fact that these things are happening between Jump Street and this,
it worries me.
It actually gives me help as an aspiring writer. That some of this shit can get greenlit. Fucking anything can get greenlit.
You won't have to bury your first novel. You can just publish it.
It's the worst thing I could come up with is better than fucking Men in Black and 22 Jump Street mixed together. But yeah, let's talk about something we're actually interested in, Ron, and that is Ghost in the Shell.
Okay, thank God.
We got our first image today of ScarJo as, what's her character's name?
Major.
It's just a side shot of her.
Major Kisaragi, if I recall.
She's got her. I've seen some images from you. She's got like the what you pointed out. She kind of looks like Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah,
that kind of Ramona Flowers haircut minus the color.
Yeah.
Don't really get much, but I was actually most surprised this was even filming because I thought this was still in pre-production. Like,
evidently not.
Evidently they're fucking.
Because we were both a little bit surprised.
What were your thoughts? Have you watched everything related to it, or just the anime?
I have watched the anime. I have not watched the movies or the, I guess what people call OVA, where they condensed everything down into a movie. I haven't watched any of that, but I've watched the show season 1 and 2, and which incidentally is going to be in the mail soon. I ordered them today.
Then I will be sure to intercept that and steal them and watch them both.
I'm watching them first, fucker. It's my show. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing to see in that picture except ScarJo's haircut.
It was almost just more like I was saying, like, this is actually happening. That was almost like the point of it. Like, they actually, because like, people have been in such disbelief about anime properties getting off the ground, because as removed as video game adaptations are at the moment, anime is worse. Like, people are not wanting to touch anime at all.
I think now is a good time for it. I think
because eventually superheroes are going to run out.
And not only is the superhero bubble going to burst, but I think the special effects are to a point where it's good, because there's talking childlike robots that are tanks and stuff in it.
Spoilers.
There's all kinds of shit that's in it. People, it's called Ghost in the Shell because there's very little human left in humanity. They're all
great title, by the way.
Yeah,
love that title.
They're all they call them prosthetics, but they're all cybernetic robots now. Even their brain is replaced with a cyber brain. So, like I said, there's just so much that goes into it. Plus, while you could also argue it'd be an easy one to fuck up while adapting, it's also one of the easier ones to adapt.
It's not as... Now, it is abstract, but it's not abstract as far as animes go.
But, I mean, in my mind, if you can pull off iRobot,
or The Matrix.
Or The Matrix, this should be a no-brainer.
Basically, the best anime adaptation we've ever had is The Matrix. Even though it was an original idea, it's very anime.
Yes.
So if you can make that work back in, what was that, like 99?
I think maybe a year or two before, but yeah.
And... yeah, I think I completely agree with you, because not only do special effects look better than they ever have before, but you can make them cheap. Like look at the Flash is on a fucking CW budget, and King Shark looks cool.
Fantastic, yeah.
Like if you give them that budget and they can do that with it, people can do some really cool shit for cheap.
And it's not like Bleach or Dragon Ball Z or Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's nothing outlandish. They are military. They're a secret branch of the military that specializes in anti-terrorism.
It's closer to the...
it's closer to real life.
It's
more
closer
than
to Bebop on the anime scale than it is like DBZ. Yeah. Like we'll never have another DBZ thing, because the Dragon Ball movie was just such a colossal train wreck as far as box office return and critical reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it won't happen.
But I mean, I think now's a good time for it. I think if it does well, it will be like Warcraft and Assassin's Creed are to video game movies.
Dude, as long as anything gets me just that one tiny step closer to either a Cowboy Bebop or a Trigun movie, and I will cry if they ever green like that.
I like when they first announced ScarJo as Major, my initial problem with that was, here we go, entire budget for everything is going to go out the window just for star power to get people in their seats. But ScarJo's really the only known person in it.
The brilliant casting they did was, I don't even fully know the character, but just because I have so much confidence in him, is Michael Pitt as the villain, who you said is the Laughing Man.
Yes, which you're going to love.
Michael Pitt, dude, he plays in Hannibal. Oh god, I'm blanking on his character's name, but he plays one of the more fucked up, deranged characters, and he does it just brilliantly. Like
when you watch season 1 as the Laughing Man. So yeah, when you watch
Mason Verger, that's the name in Hannibal. But yeah, I love Michael Pitt.
You're gonna love.
I can't wait.
And Bato, man.
I love me some dark anime. Something else Ron and I fucking adore is Kingsman.
Oh,
and Ron.
Oh,
when I sent you the link to this poster, tell me you didn't shit your pants a little bit.
I did not shit my pants, but I could not stand up since I work in an office full of women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got our first glimpse at the sequel to Kingsman, and this is going to have some spoilers for Kingsman 1. If you haven't seen Kingsman, the first one, shut off our mediocre podcast and go watch that brilliant movie immediately.
and then come back.
And then maybe come back to finish our mediocre discussion about it. So you've been warned, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. This is a gigantic tease of the return of the coolest fucking character in the first movie who gets
probably
murdered.
One of the coolest characters in movies, dude.
Yeah, it's incredible. One of my favorite performances of the last 10 years was Colin Firth.
Yes.
In Kingsman. And the poster shows, first of all, Kingsman the Golden Circle. That's the title we all knew. It's going to be the sequel coming out. Whole batch of everyone's back on board for it. reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. And it's
Jeff, do it right, man. Reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
That did not sound British.
I don't care. That's how you have to do it right. You can't just throw it out there.
Beside the point. It's a brilliant, subtle piece of marketing that did nothing but like sent everyone in a frenzy who had seen the first movie because...
And there's one other thing that's brilliant about it.
Is the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the one lens missing.
Yeah, which if you watch the movie, you know he gets killed by being shot directly point blank in the face.
And that's probably the most realistic thing in that movie, but it's still awesome. Because, like I said, Oakley's test their glasses by shooting them with shotguns.
So, okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty on this. First of all, if they don't bring him back now...
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Because as soon as I got this, I got, like, little 5-year-old Jeff on goes... I got so excited, and it's a poster of fucking nothing. That's just marketing department alone, genius poster.
Yes.
This is something I would put on the wall. It's brilliant.
And
it's subtle.
All you have to do, which is what they did, release it on social media, let it go viral.
It was Taron Egerton,
yeah,
who was the first person, the lead from the first film in the sequel too.
Eggsy.
So, if they bring him back, Ron, does it diminish your love of the first movie? Because this was your number one movie of the year, and my 3, I think. So
I think it's still my favorite movie, to be honest. I think it's straight up my favorite movie.
Does it diminish your love of the first movie if they bring him back?
Yes and no. Like, I will always have my love of the first movie and that scene, but because that scene, you want to talk about shitting your pants, watching that is when I shit my pants, Jeff. And I don't know. It's just really funny this came out like a day or two after we're talking about diminishing like the value in like death scenes and stuff. But actually, I'm kind of really torn on it.
Okay, I'm going to give my opinion on it because I actually think it's closer to the Coulson thing than it is the Walking Dead shit they've done.
Oh, yeah?
Because I've been getting caught back up on some movies for Civil War, and I actually just last weekend watched The Avengers again.
Uh-huh.
And I think it all depends.
I still get teary-eyed on Coulson, by the way.
Exactly. I think it depends on how well you execute it. Because
what you did there.
When I go back and watch the first Avengers film, I am still, even though he's not permanently dead, I go back to my mindset that I had when I watched the movie for the very first time, and it was, holy shit, they killed fucking Agent Phil. And it doesn't diminish the Avengers for me.
His first name is Agent.
What's comparing it to Coulson? Does it diminish any of your reaction to the first Avengers movie, knowing that Coulson's not permanently dead? Because it doesn't for me.
No, it doesn't for me either. I don't know. It's a tough call because that was one of my things that I love so much about it was that movie was marketed even for Colin Firth to be the star.
And you actually didn't have it spoiled for you that he died,
no,
did you? Okay.
And that sobered me up real quick since I was watching it when I was drunk.
That's the only reason it's your favorite movie.
I was like, wait. Wait. The guy I thought was the star just got shot in the face?
And after one of the top 5 best action sequences I've ever seen on film or TV.
Yeah.
That church scene.
Yeah.
It's one of those so good you can just watch it on a loop. It's so good. Yeah. I actually, and the other point to make, I think, is you said the most serious thing that happened was him dying because it's such a goofy universe.
Yeah.
The plot consists of Samuel L. Jackson with a lisp sending out 28 days later murder phones to everyone and then having everyone become a zombie and kill each other while the main star tries to save the world by fighting the girl with sword legs.
All to prevent global warming.
Yeah. It's fucking batshit ridiculous. So if it's not like this is like Christopher Nolan in a Batman movie bringing back someone, it's completely batshit insane.
You know what I think they'll do? I think he'll be Arthur.
What do you mean?
Michael Caine was Arthur, and he's dead now, right? I think he'll be Arthur.
The Overmind type. Well, how do you think they bring him back? Just let's start off on that. Like, how do you think they either explain that he got fucked up? Like, my thing was, if they do, like, you said, like, the Oakleys are supposed to be bulletproof.
Yeah.
If they go the route of his glasses, which it makes sense for them to be bulletproof because he's a fucking Kingsman.
Yeah.
If it's, like, basically been shot out, but the impact was so dulled down that it just lodged in his eye and it blinded him in one eye. I'm okay with that. Like,
Yeah.
it makes, as long as it's not done in a way that makes it feel cheap, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, like you said, it'd be kind of hard to do anything that feels cheap in how absurd that movie is. The girl is strapped to 2 weather balloons and shoots down a satellite with a rocket as they're bursting.
Do you have any other like theories on how they might bring him back if they do? Which they have to now, right? Surely they're not dumb enough to release that poster and not bring him back.
Yeah, it's either going to be a cameo.
You think a flashback, maybe,
or a flashback, or because I mean that could even be a quote from a flashback, or that's in the movie. I mean, there's a million different ways they can toy with you with that.
I just hope they don't.
Yeah, I hope they don't. I mean, at the same time, I would applaud the balls to do that.
You would applaud the balls and then immediately say "fuck you" for that,
and then hardcore Henry them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it all depends on just how well they do it, and I have faith in them because these are all the same people who made that brilliant first movie.
I think he's either going to be a cameo that's not a flashback, or he's going to be Arthur.
I think he got fucked up by it, but it didn't kill him.
Because I'm thinking, when I say cameo, like it might just like cut to him watching the news as shit's going down, and then cut away.
I think
it might be something that simple.
I think he's going to have, even if it's in flashbacks, a significant role because the fact that this was their first marketing release for this film, period. I think
he is the Force.
I think if this had been rolled out down the line and they've already been advertising shit, I think that can show that it's not as significant. But this being the first thing, tweeted out by Taron Egerton, I think it's important. I think it will be important. So either way, even if it's just in flashbacks, I just want to see him back. Because I would watch a whole movie that's just flashbacks on him.
I would watch a whole movie that's a prequel movie of him and Eggsy's dad.
Yeah.
And the Pirates of the Caribbean guy. Just straight up shooting people in the face.
Dude, I'm always on board for shooting people in the fucking face. Well, speaking of Kingsman and Taron Egerton, we've actually reported recently about how he was one of the finalists for the young Han Solo film they're making. And it's looking like he's actually not the frontrunner because it appears that Phil Lord and Chris Miller are targeting one of the other names we threw out with the report, Alden Ehrenreich.
Bless you.
Who is his most famous role to date is Hell Caesar, which you and I still desperately want to watch but haven't gotten a chance to yet. We will at some point.
I've wanted to see that movie since the first trailer before it released.
Great trailer. It's the Coen brothers. I love them to death. They're the Big Lebowski dudes. True Grit. Fucking love the Coen brothers. First of all, I like just the images they posted comparing his pictures with Harrison Ford. You can totally buy him as a young Harrison Ford, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you have to find a person who can, first of all, act, have a lot of charisma,
and have that presence.
Have a presence to him, and it's a complete bonus that he kind of looks like Harrison Ford. I think that's all working for him. I haven't seen any of his roles yet, so I can't speak from that end.
But I hope they're not picking him because of the uncanny likeness.
But that's the thing I was going to say. Is we have to talk about why he is even in the contention, because this is a dude who is an unknown for the most part, but has his first few roles were with Francis Ford Coppola, who is the director of The Godfather. He's in a Coen Brothers movie. The Coen Brothers are two of the top 4 or 5 directors in Hollywood. Like, they're very well respected. Look at the rest of the cast in that movie of Hell Caesar. It was a remarkable cast. People like working with them. And the 2 dudes who are casting the movie, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. 2 of the dudes responsible for Will Arnett as Batman. Like, I think they got their shit down. I have a lot of faith in them picking a good guy. And I actually, now the more that I thought about it, just as an actor, I will always love Taron Egerton because of Eggsy and Kingsman, but I actually kind of like the idea of going with a more unknown. Yeah. Because I kind of want my first exposure to this young Han Solo being him as young Han Solo, not as another role. I think that goes it's a long way towards helping the actor.
The other thing that's smart about it is one thing you and I talk about all the time, too. One of the greatest strengths of an unknown is no one has that predetermined mindset about
Daisy Ridley was perfect.
Yeah, because, just in the announcement if it's a known actor, people would immediately start crucifying them. And what are you going to say against someone that's virtually unknown? I mean, there's nothing to say.
You cannot have a Michael Keaton as Batman Backlash or a Ben Affleck as Batman Backlash. Exactly. You just can't have it because, like, well, it's an unknown. You can't bitch, which is crazy because the internet will find a way to bitch about everything, but you literally can't because you don't have an opinion.
Exactly.
But I still need to watch Hail Caesar to have like my final say so, and it's probably on DVD now. We'll have to find a time to watch it.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of faith in Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. I think it'll be a good choice if they pick this dude. I just have a good feeling about it after seeing who has sought him out to be in their films over the last few years.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
And if he went up against some of the competition that he had, while some of them were ridiculous, some of the others were still strong choices.
Taron Egerton was a very strong choice.
And if he's beating them out...
Yeah, good signs. While we're talking about Star Wars, we are going to start up Trailer Reaction Theateron. And the first one up...
Katniss in Space.
Star Wars Rogue One. Take all my money, Disney. Take all of it. I absolutely love this trailer. Which I am the easiest person to garner attention towards, because as soon as I see it's like, ass in the seat. You got my ticket. So, what were your immediate thoughts? Because obviously I just had to change my pants after I see anything Star Wars.
I don't know. To me, I guess it doesn't have the vibe that I was hoping it would have.
What do you mean?
To me, it's just more like typical Star Wars.
See, I think that's why it's cool, is because I got a completely different vibe from this.
See, I didn't. I was wanting more.
To be fair, it's
Secret Agent
90 seconds.
Movie.
And it's more teased, because I think the cool shit in the movie is the spy movie aspect. Because if you'll notice, everything you see in this is basically just imagery Star Wars porn. And then when you start getting to the end, when they start having Forrest Whitaker talk, what do they start teasing? It's her undercover going to the Death Star.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the whole probably second half of the movie at least is going to be the Death Star stuff, because that's the story. Like this movie exists to tell the story of the many Bothans that got murdered getting the plan.
You think most of it's gonna take place on the Death Star?
I think the second half of the movie is entirely on the Death Star. I think all of the shit you're seeing beforehand is like first 30 minutes of the movie introducing characters. Dude, AT-ATs and fucking on the beach.
I will watch Forrest Whitaker taking on stormtroopers all day.
Forrest Whitaker, he's got his like crazy ass Forrest Whitaker delivery that only he can pull off. Like, he sounds awesome. We have no idea who he is, other than he kind of looks like someone pointed out he's walking with a cane.
Yeah.
That's interesting. He's just kind of like a former badass who's now kind of like a mentor to them almost for their shenanigans.
Which in Star Wars terms means he will die at some point.
That is to me the single most important fact about this movie, is because we have never had Star Wars where anyone could die at any moment. This is closer to Serenity than it is Star Wars, and that excites me. And I think that is the coolest thing about these spin-off movies, is because they can do all the shit they'd like to do in Star Wars, but just can't.
Right.
Because it's a juggernaut, and they can't go and, kill off half the Star Wars cast.
They can have a war where people die, and not just a war where everybody just shoot at each other and miss.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine was like saying, they've been called Star Wars the whole time, and never has the focus been on any of the soldiers.
Yeah.
A lot of these major characters that are going to be going on the suicide mission are going to be soldiers and mercenaries, and some of the coolest fucking characters in Star Wars are the mercenaries. You're talking about, like, in the Bounty Hunters, stuff like that. Like, they have some really cool side characters, and I think having a movie dedicated to that, I think it'll be great.
Yeah. I just wish they hadn't ripped off Hunger Games so much with the main character.
Okay, now, I actually want to wait for here to get more in detail on this, because I didn't get a Katniss vibe on this at all, so I would like to hear your explanation on why you get that vibe.
It's just, I've seen all the Hunger Games movies so much, like, down to her line delivery, everything is Katniss Everdeen. I mean, the way she holds herself in the scenes, the way she talks, the lines they have her say, everything is Katniss Everdeen to me.
Maybe it's more from Jennifer Lawrence in the last two movies, but I've seen the first two, and I didn't get any of that from this. I'm also... We're looking at it from two sides, because this is your first your first initial reaction to experiencing her as an actress, and I've seen her be fucking fantastic, because she is...
I've seen Amazing Spider-Man too.
She's in... you saw her for 30 seconds in the movie. She plays.
Don't tell me I haven't seen her in a movie before, Jeff.
Because you really didn't. She plays Stephen Hawking's wife in Theory of Everything, and she was fantastic. She got an Oscar nomination for it. She's a good actress. It doesn't mean she'll be good in this role, but she's an Oscar-nominated actress. She's a good
I'm not
actress.
saying she'll be bad in it either. I'm just saying the
You're
vibe
just judging
she's
from the
giving.
vibe from the trailer. That's fair.
The vibe I'm getting is very strong Katniss, and that could be the way it's cut together. But like I said, even down to the way she kind of holds herself reminds me of all the scenes with Julianne Moore and
See,
Katniss
I haven't even
in the
gotten to
same room.
Julianne Moore.
Yeah, that's the scene with her and Mon Mothma is Julianne Moore and Katniss talking.
Dude, you know what I would do if I was writing this movie? She would be the first person to die on the Death Star. Because if you follow this organic movie plot,
Yeah.
and it's like she's the main character and she's the first person to die on the suicide mission, you're just like, oh shit, what's gonna? Because
But she's not boffin.
it's just like that. It's just like you pull that weed moment in Serenity, dude, and you're like, oh my god, they're all going to die.
Yeah.
Because anyone can die. Oh, if they would have the balls to do that, would be glorious. So I think either they all die, or she's the only one that lives by the end of this movie. What do you think?
I think she'll be the only one that lives, but I really hope they all die.
Just to make the story more impactful.
Just to make the story more impactful.
How cool is it that we might have a Star Wars movie where everyone fucking dies?
Seriously.
It's just like George R.R. Martin was brought on just to write the Star Wars Rogue One script. I think there's a lot of cool shit though in the trailer for a 90-second teaser trailer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool shit. I'm super excited for it. Obviously, my ass is going to be in the seat regardless.
I just want to see someone take their rescue transponder, strap it to a CD-ROM, and jettison it into space right as they die.
Yeah.
And then you just see a ship pull up next to a CD-ROM floating in space with a red blinking light on it.
Killer cast too, dude. Not only we talked about Forrest Whitaker, but we haven't even seen Mads Mikkelsen yet.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Alan Tudyk's character yet, and those are some of my favorites. So I cannot wait. Comes out this December. All right, next step in the trailers we're going to talk about is actually another spinoff. Is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them release their full trailer? Before they've had teasers, but this is the first time, at least I have seen them present kind of the bulk of what the movie's going to be about. And I think we were both, after the teasers, just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much there. There's still not enough here to get me like batshit excited for it.
I'm only seeing it because my wife's going to drag me to it. And I drag her to enough stuff that I have to go.
You kind of have to. Basically, the draw for this, for me, was just the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing Colin Farrell. And
I like seeing Colin Farrell, period.
Colin Farrell's awesome. I love his character
idea. He
idea.
doesn't do enough stuff.
The idea of his character being like a magician detective, that's kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's cooler than anything they ever did in Harry Potter. But I don't think they've shown him yet. Ezra Miller is one of the supporting characters in this. Obviously, Eddie Redmayne's the lead. I love Eddie Redmayne. He's been fantastic since jumping onto the scene. It's weird. I like the idea of this better than I like what they're showing me of it.
It's presented more of a spy movie than Rogue One was, too.
A little bit. Yeah. I've read the first 5 Harry Potter books, and I fell off of it. I watched all the movies, but I think neither one of us giant Harry Potter fans. I wish we would have a better... We would have a better reaction to this if one of us was like a diehard Harry Potter fan, judging like their reaction to how much.
That's why I don't judge it too hard either on either front.
Yeah,
because to me it looks more interesting than any of the other Harry Potter movies. But I'm not going to say anything bad about it because I know it's not really marketed towards me either.
It's not really marketed towards you, and if it ends up sucking, who cares? Because it's not something you and I are going to be pissed about.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be on the verge of suicide if it sucks. I'm sure.
Just because,
but. Now it is interesting to point out too. We were talking about this is probably J.K. Rowling's first screenplay credit.
It'll be her first cinematic. If you're talking like movie or TV, she has written plays before because I think she's actually the writer of the one that caused the hubbubaloo over the Hermione casting. You know what I'm talking about? She's actually the writer of that continuation of the story. So I'm glad she at least had some playwright background.
Did you say hubbubaloo?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clear the air about that.
Not often you get to throw that word around. But yeah, she at least has that, because if she was going from straight up novel writing to this, it's a whole different monster. But plays and movies are.
She's also being very safe though, because it doesn't matter if her writing sucks or not. It's going to make $1 bajillion because it's Harry Potter.
Yeah, not only she needs any more billions of dollars. How much money is J.K. Rowling worth now? It's insane.
Sickening.
But yeah, I'll be watching it. It's probably something I'll watch on DVD. It's not something I'm going to be rushing out to go to the theater in.
We'll be in the theater.
So you'll be seeing it before me. You have to tell me your thoughts. Something we will be fucking midnight release is Dr. Goddamn Strange, Ron. We got the first trailer Tuesday night, and it's so
you
good.
and I are about to swoon over this trailer, and that's the way other people are about the Fantastic Beasts trailer, I'm
It's
sure.
so good. It's so good.
Oh my god.
The score is great. You get your first look at all of the actors, who are all great. The special effects are, in my opinion, the coolest I've seen from Marvel, other than Spider-Man's badass eyes.
They're definitely the most mind-bending.
It is. I was talking to Philip about it. He was texting me earlier today, and he was like, hey, I checked it out. Love the trailer. It looks awesome. And I was like, yeah, it's so cool how it's like half Inception and half Marvel.
I was going to say, it's more Inception than I thought it was going to be.
Even down to the words popping up throughout the trailer were stuff from Inception, like the change your reality and open your mind and shit like that.
Yeah.
I want to say even the Inception trailers had stuff like that. Like, I love everything they're doing about it. The cinematography makes it look like something we haven't seen from them before.
And you know what is fantastic about this trailer? The reaction it instilled from all of us. And it's all shit we already know about the character. Like, they showed us nothing we didn't know.
This is all shit that you would see in the animated movie.
Yeah.
Outside of the Inception-like special effects, which, dude, we just saw one of them. It's fucking killer. The one where Mickelson's twirling the room around.
Oh, man.
The best scene in the trailer is where she plummets him through the back of the building, and it ends up being like a kaleidoscopic shot of New York.
Yeah.
Fucking gold, dude.
Well, you know what that is, most likely, right? Those are all alternate realities.
Gold. Fucking gold.
Yeah. There's not going to be dreams in this like in Inception. Those are alternate realities because of one of the lines that she has in the trailer when Tilda Swinton says, you know, that you've saved thousands of lives, da-da-da-da, and, you know, that's just one reality.
I actually just thought of something that would be kind of interesting. Is Mordo is originally a good guy and turns bad. What if in the movie bad Mordo is an alternate reality version and the good Mordo gets killed? That'd be kind of interesting. Bringing some of the alternate reality stuff. Obviously, freaking Cumberbatch being involved. Cumberbatch doesn't. He can have his pick. Maybe more than anyone right now of anything he fucking wants.
And he said in an interview after he got this role that he's never read a comic book in his life. So he has no attachment to the character. And that means he read the script and said, heck yeah, I'll do it.
And then after that, did the smart thing of immersing himself in as much as he possibly could.
He, in that same interview, he said that he went out and got his hands on everything Doctor Strange that he could. And in a different interview, he was saying that he was even studying to the point that he was getting the hand gestures right for the spells.
Which, as a comic geek,
because he said he knew he would be crucified by the diehard fans if he didn't. So he did not want to screw it up.
He gets it.
And I believe that was his words, that he didn't want to screw it up.
He gets it. The writer and director are from a horror background. And
you know what? Nothing, though, in this trailer is as awesome as him in costume in the comic book store.
Right.
Buying Doctor Strange comics.
Ron, I want to see this movie.
I know.
It comes out the day before my birthday, November 4th, and Marvel gave me my present early.
November 4th is currently the due date for my twins, and I told my wife...
There's a conflict of interest.
I do not care if you're in labor. We're not heading for the hospital until after that after-credits scene. So, yeah.
Cannot freaking wait, dude.
Oh... It's going to be fantastic.
While we're talking MCU, we got a little bit more news regarding...
Hold on, I want to watch this trailer again.
Okay. I'll give you... we'll come back. Spider-Man Homecoming is officially the title. Which I love the joke that Nerdist did, which they were like, what are your thoughts on the trailer, or they're on the news, and then what are your thoughts on the sequel being Spider-Man Spring Formal? The only reason this title works for me even a little bit is because, like I said before, they got their boy back. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
If this was in a nutshell, like if the third Garfield movie had been Amazing Spider-Man Homecoming, I'd be like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
It's a pretty generic-ass title.
Yeah, it only works because he's now officially in the MCU. But I'm not too happy with the title. But at the end of the day, I don't really give a fuck.
It doesn't
I just
matter.
want to see the movie.
It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, and they know that. They know that if they titled it "Fuck You," you would still be buying a ticket to it. Actually, I would watch a movie called "Fuck You" easily.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrible fucking title, but at the end of the day, who cares? It's Spider-Man. His eyes close. I'm there. It doesn't matter.
His eyes move. I'm sold.
His eyes move. Give them the Oscar for Best Picture. But yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll be there fucking opening day. The other news related to Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a bit of a homecoming for Michael Keaton, potentially, back into comic book films, because the news going around yesterday is that Michael freaking Keaton might be playing the villain.
Dude, I am all over that.
And not just...
I was all over it to begin with. But
we have to preface this with how much you and I adore Michael Keaton. I thought his performance as Bruce Wayne and Batman, for what he was given, and considering his director was batshit Tim Burton, I thought he did a brilliant job.
Yeah. I mean, he is one of my first major interactions with Batman. I mean, I would have been, depending on when in '89 it came out, I would have been 3 or 4 when that movie came out. I watched that movie on repeat. I had all the toys from that movie. Like, that is what instilled in me the love that I have of Batman. That thing was amazing. And I had grown up already watching... Grown up, I was 4. But I had already been watching Batman 66. And I did not have the reaction to Batman that I had until...
Because Batman was actually made badass.
Yeah.
He was a murdering badass, but he was pretty badass.
Well, as a kid...
You don't care.
But that was my only interaction with it. I didn't even honestly notice it as a kid. It wasn't until I went back as an adult.
No, and then because at that point you've had the animated series and the Arkham games and everything ingrained in your brain, the Batman don't kill. But yeah, whether we're getting off topic.
Batman don't kill.
Batman don't kill. Machete don't text. But yeah, I love Michael Keaton.
That should be the tagline of the Batman. That's the blurb. Batman don't kill.
And they would make $200,000 more off that tagline alone.
We need to make that a shirt.
Batman don't kill.
That's it. Just a black shirt with white text. Batman don't kill.
I'd buy it. So
sorry. Back to the show.
The first kind of reaction to it is that you would think he'd be Norman Osborn because he's a big bad. But the rumors surrounding the film are the Vulture. So what do you think if he ended up being the Vulture?
I could see that.
I think it's cool, mainly because it's one of the reasons I like the first Amazing Spider-Man film so much.
Yeah.
Is because they picked a lesser villain, but they picked one that they were able to develop in the time frame throughout the movie they were given towards the villain.
Right?
Like, I would if I could have my choice, I'd rather him be Norman Osborn just because it's fucking Green Goblin. But
he can play batshit, dude.
I would be fascinated to see what they would do with Michael Keaton Vulture because I think he would bring a lot of intensity to it.
Yeah.
What's kind of ironic though is he's fucking Birdman.
Yeah, I know. Birdman. That's the article I saw was.
It's a little too on the nose, I think.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think it'll happen. I think Vulture may be a part of the story. I think they're still going to do the dual villain thing.
I'm hoping what they do is Michael Keaton is Osborn, and he's kind of like the behind-the-scenes figurehead.
That's what I was going to say.
And they set it up like Begins in Dark Knight, where you can just whole second movie go gaga with it,
Yeah. I was going to say, I think he's going to be Norman Osborn, but not Green Goblin. I think he'll have the Green Goblin personality talking in the back of his head. But I don't think you're going to see Green Goblin flying around New York.
It's been such a big draw, just the news of them talking about including him in the film, that I think it'd be kind of a misstep, only making him the Vulture.
Yeah.
While if it happened, I'd be very fascinated. The more logical thing to me would be making him Norman Osborn.
Yeah. And I think that's what'll happen. I think Vulture may be a part of the story, but I don't think he is Vulture.
Yeah. So, either way, I'm happy he's involved, but we would both rather see him be Norman Osborn.
It would never happen. I'm just going to make that clear right now. I already know it would never happen. But how awesome would it be? They don't even announce it, but in the movie, fucking William Dafoe is back as Norman Osborn, dude.
And J.K. Simmons is pulling double duty as J.J. and Commissioner Gordon.
Commissioner J.J.
Commissioner J.J.
I would watch that movie.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's fucking Spider-Man. It's MCU-controlled Spider-Man. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they've proved that.
They've proved
13
that.
times now.
Michael Keaton has proven even if you give him ass material, he will do good with it because he's so good. Yeah.
You give him a Looney Tune Acme bomb, and he will strap it to a fucker's belt and throw him off of a building.
Yeah. I just can't wait for that movie. If they fuck up Spider-Man, so help me God, dude. Dude, that's a lot of pressure on Sony too.
Yeah.
Because they're fucked if it's bad.
Yeah.
Because if it's good, what's the blurb going to be? MCU knocks out of park controlling Spider-Man finally. They got their boy back. Finally Spider-Man done right.
Right.
And if it's bad, Sony didn't give MCU enough control. So
yeah.
If it's bad even a little bit, all the blame is going square on Sony's shoulders.
Yeah, Sony will be done in the
There's
the
a lot of
business.
pressure on them in that too. So yeah, got a couple more little tidbits of Marvel casting to get through, and then we are out of here, Ron. Natalie Portman will not be back for Thor 3. Your thoughts?
Why?
The basically kind of subtext of this was Natalie Portman, for whatever reason, hated making the first movie, and she already wanted to bail as soon as the sequel. She didn't want to be back for the second one.
But that's what I don't get. She was good in both of those movies.
She was good in the role, and it was a little puzzling to me. You know what it made me think of, actually, was Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving had the same thing with Red Skull. He was contracted to come back for more films, and he basically told them, I'm done with comic book movies. I don't want to do this anymore. Which is so weird, because he, too, was fantastic. And it's just kind of puzzling. If we had to have one actor or actress want to leave the MCU, this was the best choice, because for the most part, she's inconsequential.
That's a bit harsh, but
I mean, in all reality,
yeah,
for what they have Infinity War going down.
Yeah.
And Hulk is going to be a part of Thor 3. I would much rather have more screen time dedicated to Mark Ruffalo's character than Natalie Portman's love interest from 3 movies ago.
Yeah.
I
get what you're saying, but it's just kind of harshly worded.
I mean, it's harsh, but she wants to fucking leave. I didn't fire her,
Especially after how important she was to the first Thor, but...
I mean... I've always been a Lady Sif guy myself, Ron. Just throwing that out there.
But Thor isn't, and that was the problem.
Fucking Thor. Now he's just like, hey... But yeah, they have not replaced her, I think, as a love interest, but they have said they've added an actress from Creed who is going to be playing an additional Asgardian female lead. What I think is they are just going to drop the romantic subplot altogether, because if you notice, that was actually one of the things people complained about in the first 2 films.
Was it?
Was the romantic subplot.
I didn't know anyone really complained about
basically
much in those movies.
The romantic subplot that everyone has kind of been like, I don't buy it, is her and Thor.
Really?
Has been kind of the one, which while
I thought it was kind of charming in the first one.
It didn't detract it from the first one, but I could kind of see in the sequel, because if you kind of think of the plot of Thor 2, if you don't have her be the person who finds the thing, the Infinity Stone obstruct or whatever it was, she's basically pointless for the movie. She's just kind of there for Thor to save. It's a little bit like BVS syndrome.
Yeah.
Her only purpose is to have Thor save her, so it's kind of bad writing, even though she's a good actress.
Right.
So yeah, I would rather, if she did want to leave, I would rather her leave than Gwyneth Paltrow. I actually like Gwyneth Paltrow. I think I think Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper has a more important role to play when it comes to Iron Man than she does to Thor in the Thor movies. If that makes sense. But yeah, I don't like to see her go, because I do really like Natalie Portman. It's just,
and I liked her character.
But what's interesting is this is the first taste of Marvel cannot keep these actors around forever.
Yeah.
So they need to now come up with backup plans for what to do if Chris Hemsworth says he's done. What to do if Chris Evans already said he wants to go at some point. Doesn't want to do it forever. RDJR has said he wants to leave. Doesn't want to do it forever. So I'm hoping they have backup plans in place and are prepared for this, because this is a small taste of things to come. I think they need to be prepared. And last up, Marvel has casted David Wenham as the villain for Iron Fists. He is most famously known as Faramir in the Lord of the Rings films, and as, I forget his name, but he's the eye patch dude in 300.
Yeah.
One of the coolest characters in that. Love that dude. I've always said he's not enough stuff. And my interest level in Iron Fist rose a good chunk from his casting.
Yeah.
Because this has been the one where it's I like Iron Fist, he's cool, but it's one step removed from me getting fucking John Bernthal's Punisher show. which for some reason is still not announced. Netflix and Marvel.
You know it's in the works, though.
I know, but it's just like the Batman Batfleck movie. Just fucking announce it already. Like, quit dicking people. But yeah, I'm assuming that raised your interest a little bit more in it.
Yeah, I mean, I was interested. I was going to watch it whether my interest level was up or not. But
even if it sucked, it would still be binge watched by me on the opening weekend.
When it got my attention when I announced the Game of Thrones guy being
Finn Jones.
Yeah. Just because, like you and I always say, HBO does not have bad actors,
especially Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones is mostly dialogue, and it's riveting.
Game of Thrones, their worst actor or actress is on par with everyone else's best.
Yeah. So, that, but then to hear that one of my favorite people, he was probably my favorite character in 300, and then a really cool character in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, cast
as the villain.
One of the most underrated parts of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah,
his subplot was
one of the most important.
One of the most
story.
and just straight up endearing. Like that scene in Return of the King when he's being burned alive was the darkest Lord of the Rings ever really got, and it was a great subplot, and he was great in it.
John Noble jumps off of a cliff.
John Noble knocking out of the park, dude. He was awesome as he always is. But yeah,
He's still forever the Scarecrow to me now, though.
Yeah, right. I love David Wenham. I think he'll be great. The best thing they've done for this show to me is they've had some great casting choices, which is par for the course because their Netflix division too, as well as the movies, have all been expertly casted.
And thanks to 300 and Game of Thrones, we know the two of them are built for the part. Yeah, because they're both practically naked the entire time anyway.
His character's name will be Harold Meacham. I have kind of strayed away from looking into this more because Iron Fist is like Luke Cage. And I was more familiar with Jessica Jones than I was with those two. I know jack shit about Iron Fist and Luke Cage, where it's kind of cool to be able to have a Marvel property where I'm not infinitely familiar.
Yeah.
Like, it was able to be more of a surprise for you. I mean, whether it was spoiled in like a trailer, but you didn't know it immediately who Winter Soldier was. Yeah. And I obviously already knew that. So the more detached I can be from a Marvel thing and the more surprises I can have just makes me like it more. So I'm trying to stay away. But yeah. Super excited for it. Even if it's not as good as the rest of the shows have been, it will be binge watch opening weekend.
Oh, yes.
Because that's just... I have to.
I still need to start Netflix Daredevil.
Yeah, I fucking hate you. And I thought we were friends, but that is no longer the case because you still John Bernthal.
I know
is the Punisher in this world.
There's no time.
You make time, son of a bitch.
Time. And then in gaming news, Dark Souls.
Yeah, in gaming news, we're gonna go play fucking Dark Souls. If you would like to check us out more, you can actually watch some of the Dark Souls stuff we're about to record. So keep an eye on for that. If you are interested, and like and subscribe, that gets you all of our content, all the Let's Plays, podcast commentaries, all goes through there. Social media links for Facebook and Twitter are in the description below. And most importantly, if you know anyone else that might also like our material, we would really appreciate it if you would share us out. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron.
And we're going to play some fucking Dark Souls.